You're taking one part of the story and you're making men feel terrible as people, and you're making men think that all women are extremely fearful and think the worst of men. But then you're not talking about the other side of that, which is if you were in danger and there was a man there, you would seek his help. I know that as a woman, that is true. And women, they're not telling that, right? They're not showing any sort of like appreciation for the male species and what they do typically. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is the day we are talking about a hot topic that I haven't talked about much yet, and that is the question of the bear versus the man. I know that most of you have probably heard this trend, I guess I would call it. I don't know, it's talked about a lot in both the woman's perspective and the male perspective. So we're going to dive into it today because I have some opinions that might surprise some of you. I think that what I want to do is pull it all together because I will give you the woman's perspective and of course mixed with the male perspective. And let's see if we can come to some resolution. So let's do it. If you guys are as excited for this episode as I am, hopefully it doesn't cancel me. Please remember to like the video and subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. This whole thing started with a street interview where a woman was asked the question, if you were lost in the woods, would you rather encounter a bear or a strange man? That woman chose the bear. And a lot of women started speaking up and saying, yes, absolutely, we choose the bear. There immediately was not understanding from the male perspective for most men because, essentially it's kind of an insult, right? Like a woman is looking at you as a man and saying, I don't trust you so much so that I would choose a bear that could potentially tear me apart and eat me alive. Of course, the male species is going to feel a certain way about that. This is my very real and raw opinion about the trend in general. And then I'm going to get into why I think that women are being actually honest with their answers, and we'll get into the psyche of that. But before that, I just want to say that it is my opinion that this is just another way for women to spread the message of how bad men are and that men need to do better. It is being used as just another way to beat men down as a whole, as some sort of proof that most men are bad. That is not the truth. Most men are good men. And it is not easy in this world to be a good man. Like, it is the harder path. But women, time and time again, not only show that they don't understand what men go through, they add shame and contempt to what men face already on a daily basis. And the thing that I really dislike about this entire trend of women explaining why they pick the bear and then they get really insulted when men don't understand that answer and they actually push back even further and they'll say that the man that doesn't understand why a woman would pick the bear, he's the exact reason why she picks the bear. That honestly, I think, couldn't be further from the truth. It is those men that don't understand why a woman would choose the bear. I think those are the men that are more likely good men, and they probably have a circle of good men surrounding them. So they just don't have that experience. They don't understand why a woman would be so fearful of a man. So if you happen to be one of those men, I want you to take in what I'm about to say as far as why women might instinctively choose the bear. This is because of two reasons, and they're both happening, right? So firstly, women have been conditioned to be cautious around men that they do not know. It is entwined in them from a very early age to be cautious around men they don't know. There is quite literally an assumption by most women that men are dangerous until he gains your trust, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it kind of, you gotta take it in stride. Like, there's a way to be cautious without actually making a full assumption that somebody is dangerous. It's more like stranger danger. Like, you don't have to go huddle in the corner of the playground as a child because there's strangers walking around and you're afraid that they're about to grab you. Like, it's actually just that, well, if this happens, if a stranger approaches you with candy, you don't get in the car with the guy with candy. So essentially, we're talking about small things that are keeping her safe by being cautious, for the small chance that a guy doesn't have the best intentions. And men, let me just tell you, men do not have a problem with this. For example, a good man that has good intentions will have no problem. He will not be insulted by you not wanting to give out your address and have him pick you up on a first date. A man doesn't mind walking, even crossing the street to get on the other side of the street if it's like late at night and you're walking by yourself, just to make sure that you feel comfortable. That is the first part to women picking the bear because of how she's been conditioned. It's in the forefront of her mind to be fearful of men. So that's going to be the thing that she primarily wants to avoid. The second part to this, let's get into that, because the second part is that she is not logically thinking through the scenario if it was actually to happen. Because logically, a bear is way more dangerous than a man. A bear will eat you alive. And I bet you anything, if a woman approached at the same time, she's walking in the woods, she runs into a bear on one side and a man on the other side, a strange man even, and there's equal distance between the two. Guess where she's running? We all know she's running to the man. She's running to him to save her. And that and all, like, that's what I don't like about the trend, is that women are not really thinking the scenario through. Like, I understand their point, but they are just like driving it home without really completing the story. The completed story is that you are going to find safety in a man from an outside danger, and you can't just ignore that. You can't pretend like that's not there. So that's what's happening on this trend, right? It's that you're taking one part of the story and you're making men feel terrible as people, and you're making men think that all women are extremely fearful and think the worst of men. But then you're not talking about the other side of that, which is if you were in danger and there was a man there, you would seek his help. I know that as a woman, that is true. And women, they're not telling that, right? They're not showing any sort of like appreciation for the male species and what they do typically. If you guys have more thoughts on this, I'm sure you do, please leave a comment and let me know what you think.